Welcome to another video on your favorite YouTube channel, Stories of Our Heroes. Imagine this. You're being pursued by a war party, their war cries echoing behind you. You're exhausted, your heart is pounding, and you suddenly find yourself at the edge of a massive chasm, 25 feet wide. Below, a rocky river. To stop means capture or death. To jump means risking everything on a single impossible act. This was the reality for Captain Samuel Brady, and he jumped. But who was this man who defied death itself? Today we strip away the legend to uncover the true, incredible story of the frontier scout whose leap became the stuff of American myth. To truly understand the legend of Captain Samuel Brady, you must first understand the world that forged him, a world of shadow, steel, and survival. He was born in 1756 in the small settlement of Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. In the mid-18th century, this wasn't just a town. It was an outpost, a fragile foothold on the very edge of the known world for European settlers. Beyond it lay a vast, untamed wilderness, a landscape that was both a source of sustenance and a place of profound danger. This was a time of constant, brutal conflict, where the line between peace and war was as thin as a whisper. The air itself seemed to crackle with tension, a legacy of the French and Indian War, which had only recently concluded, and the simmering resentments that would soon erupt into Pontiac's War. Into this crucible stepped Samuel's father, Captain John Brady. A man of formidable reputation, John was a surveyor, a community leader, and a seasoned soldier who had fought to defend these very settlements. His experience in the brutal campaigns of the past had taught him that peace was a fleeting luxury. He understood that survival on the frontier demanded more than just a strong back and a keen eye. It required unyielding vigilance and a willingness to meet violence with violence. He wasn't just a defender of the frontier, he was one of its architects, surveying the disputed lands and representing his community in tense negotiations over territory. John Brady's conviction was so absolute that he built his family's home as a fortress. Known as Fort Brady, this fortified blockhouse stood defiantly on the banks of the Susquehanna River. It wasn't just a home, it was a statement. The river served as the literal line between settler territory and the sovereign lands of Native American nations. Living there meant accepting that your family was on the front line of a simmering, undeclared war. For the Bradys, this wasn't an abstract political struggle. It was a matter of personal survival, a reality etched into their family history. Samuel's maternal grandparents, the Quigleys, were among the first to brave this dangerous frontier, and they lived with the constant, gnawing fear of attack. This environment of perpetual vigilance was the only world young Samuel ever knew. The skills he learned were not for sport. Hunting wasn't a pastime, it was a necessity. Tracking wasn't a game. It was the art of reading the forest for signs of danger or opportunity. Moving silently through the woods was a life-saving discipline, passed down through generations of families trying to carve out a life in a hostile wilderness. And then, as Samuel entered manhood, the American Revolution exploded, calling this new generation, already hardened by the frontier, to fight for something bigger than their own survival. When the news of Lexington and Concord thundered across the colonies, the call for independence became an undeniable roar. For the Brady family, steeped in a life of frontier vigilance, the choice was clear. They answered. Samuel, alongside his younger brother James, enlisted as privates in a company of riflemen. Their father, Captain John Brady, a veteran of Pontiac's War, marched with them, a patriarch leading his sons into a new, uncertain conflict. At just 19 years old, Samuel found himself far from the familiar forests of Pennsylvania, thrust into the massive military encampment surrounding Boston. He was placed under the command of Captain John Loudon, a fellow Pennsylvanian. Legend holds that his father, a man who understood the brutal realities of combat, insisted that Samuel learn the fundamental duties of a common soldier before ever aspiring to an officer's rank. He needed to understand the weight of an order from the perspective of the man who had to execute it. And so, through the mud, the cold, and the constant, gnawing tension of the siege, Samuel learned. He learned discipline, the mechanics of his rifle, the rhythm of camp life, and the art of survival in a world where a stray cannonball could end everything. The siege was a long, grueling affair, a test of patience as much as courage. But for a young man like Brady, accustomed to action, the static nature of trench warfare was maddening. He actively sought out the conflict, volunteering for the most dangerous missions that arose. In one such instance, he joined a small, hand-picked party tasked with a daring nighttime raid. Under the cover of darkness, they waded through the frigid, waist-deep water of the harbor at low tide, their movements masked by the lapping waves. Their target, an island being used by the British to graze stolen cattle. The mission was a success, a small but significant blow to enemy supplies and a boost to the morale of the hungry Continental troops. It was in these moments of high risk and silent execution that Samuel's innate coolness under fire, a trait forged in the wilderness, became unmistakably apparent to his superiors. His bravery did not go unnoticed. After distinguishing himself during the chaotic retreat at the Battle of Long Island, where his frontier skills proved invaluable, he was commissioned as a first lieutenant. Standing nearly 6 feet tall with a lean, powerful build, he was a formidable presence, a natural leader. But as the major campaigns of the war shifted south, Samuel's fight transformed. He was reassigned to the Western Department and sent back to the Pennsylvania frontier, stationed at Fort Pitt. His war became a brutal, deeply personal guerrilla conflict. He was now tasked with protecting the scattered settlements from the very raids he had grown up fearing, a grim echo of his childhood. Then, in 1779, the war struck home with devastating force. His father, Captain John Brady, was ambushed and killed by a party of warriors near his own fortified home on the Susquehanna. This tragedy shattered Samuel, but it also hardened his resolve into something cold and sharp. He became a feared and relentless Indian fighter, a specter of vengeance in the Ohio country. His name became legend among settlers and warriors alike, known for his uncanny tracking abilities and his willingness to cross any river and endure any hardship to pursue raiders and rescue captives. It was this life of constant, vicious skirmishing that set the stage for his most famous exploit, an act of desperation that would echo through history. This brings us to the legendary leap, the single event that would immortalize Captain Brady's name. The year was 1780, and the Revolutionary War was still raging, not just in the East, but fiercely across the western frontier. Brady, now a seasoned captain of his own independent company of Rangers, was deep in the Ohio country on a scouting mission near what is now Kent, Ohio. His objective was to monitor the movements of British allied Native American forces, a perilous task in a vast and hostile wilderness. It was here, along the banks of the Cuyahoga River, that disaster struck. Brady and his small band of scouts were suddenly ambushed by a large war party, far outnumbering them. In the chaotic skirmish that followed, Brady was separated from his men, his escape route cut off. With the war cries of his pursuers echoing through the trees, he ran for his life. He was renowned for his speed and endurance, a true frontiersman. But the hunting party was relentless, their footsteps a constant, drumming threat behind him. The forest floor gave way to stone, and Brady burst from the tree line to find himself trapped. Before him lay a deep, sheer gorge carved by the Cuyahoga River. The chasm was a formidable obstacle, estimated by historians to be between 22 and 25 feet across, a seemingly impossible distance for any man to clear. Below, the river churned over a bed of jagged rocks. Behind him, the sounds of the chase grew deafeningly close. There was no time to think, no other path to take. It was a choice between certain capture and a leap into the unknown. But Brady didn't hesitate. Summoning every last reserve of strength, he took a running start and launched himself into the void. For a breathtaking moment, he soared over the abyss. He cleared the chasm, a feat of incredible athleticism. But the landing was brutal. He crashed onto the rocky ledge on the other side, tumbling violently down the embankment and sustaining a severe injury to his leg. Despite the pain, his survival instinct took over. He scrambled to conceal himself under a fallen log near the water's edge, just as his pursuers arrived at the opposite cliff. They stared in utter disbelief, marveling at the impossible distance. Convinced that no human could have survived such a jump, or that perhaps a spirit had aided him, they eventually gave up the chase and withdrew. This incredible story, passed down through generations, became known as Brady's Leap, a powerful testament to his indomitable will to live. Though he survived the leap, his life of constant warfare had taken its toll. Samuel Brady died just 15 years later, in 1795, at the young age of 39. His body was worn out by years of hardship and battle, but his legend was forever etched into the American landscape, a symbol of frontier courage and resilience. Captain Samuel Brady's story is one of extraordinary courage born from a brutal time. He was a product of the frontier, a soldier, a scout, and a survivor. His leap wasn't just a physical feat, it was a leap of faith, a final refusal to be defeated. Today, his name lives on in the place where he made that jump. If you want to honor these heroes and keep their stories alive, consider becoming a member of our channel. Your support means the world. What did you think of Samuel Brady's incredible story? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more tales of America's forgotten heroes, leave a like and share this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Hope you enjoyed this content, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya!